Welcome to Grow Law Firm Podcast. I have an amazing guest here with me today, Diane Camacho of Legal Management and Operations Consulting. Hi, Diane.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Tell me, I do not know much of your background story. How did you get in this business?
I got into this business because my mother was in this business.
Ooh.
So she was a legal secretary and then became a legal manager and retired as a legal manager. So I wanted to get a good job that had benefits that I didn't have to go to college for. So I became a legal secretary and moved my way up to management. And in 2013, started my own company. So it'll be 10 years. So I've been working with attorneys for about 35 years.
So legal management and operating consulting, this is based on numerous years of experiencing actually managing law firms.
Yes.
Why switch to consulting?
Well, it was a pivotal point. Most of us have some kind of pivotal point, right? So there was an opportunity for me to either continue working in large firms or go out on my own. And I always felt that there was a need for people with a lot of experience like myself to help solo and small law firms, but they really couldn't afford us full time and they didn't need us full time. So I felt like there was a market. So I said, okay, well, let me try it for a year. And then you try it for another year and you try it for another year. And that's really how I got started. I like being able to help multiple people. I like having a personal relationship with the owners. And I like getting in there, getting them fixed and getting out. So we aren't long-term. We get you fixed and then we set you up and then we're gone. So that myself and the consultants on my team have all spent our careers in law firms and we all like that aspect.
I love that. Tell me, in your experience, and so you've been operating on your own, this consulting group for a decade now, what are the top 3 to 5 problems that small law firm owners come to you for help to solve?
I'm making more money, but I'm not taking more money home. I'm the new managing partner and the old managing partner is retiring and I don't know what I'm doing and I don't want to do it the way they've done it. I am working at a big law firm and I want to start my own firm. I have all the business, but I don't know what else to do. So those are probably the top 3 that we have right now.
Awesome. What about that? I am generating more revenue, but I'm not making more profit. What's the underlying issue there typically?
They don't really understand their statistics. They don't have a good grip on their numbers and their realization rates and their utilization rates. And they are working with people that are from a different generation and they don't want to work as much as maybe the people that are in their 50s and 60s do. So there's a disconnect between what you should pay an attorney who's working 1,800 hours a year and you should pay an attorney that's working 1,100 hours a year. And that's really important to understand that and to make sure that you are not subsidizing other people's income because they have a different expectation than you do. So really looking at the compensation plans is one of the main things. The other is sometimes just not doing things efficiently and trying to do everything themselves as a solo or maybe 2 attorneys doing everything themselves and they don't spend enough time on their billable work and their marketing.
I see that as such a common problem. It really comes down to me, like the real underlying cause of that problem is that most attorneys are incredibly intelligent people with very poor business acumen.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously it's not taught in law school. Actually, business acumen is not taught anywhere except for business school.
Yes.
So you can learn it on the job.
Mm-hmm.
Most people who work in small businesses, like you mentioned, a solo or very small law firm, they can't even learn business acumen on the job more often than not because where are they going to learn it from?
Mm-hmm.
Same people as them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go to seminars, read good books, listen to podcasts like this one and so many others, and then you'll develop it. But it takes many, many, many years. So what I really love about consultants, especially the concept that you just described, where you said, we get in, we get the job done, or you said, we fix things, and then we go. That's a great model for me because although I'm sure you charge a decent amount of money for what you do, it is a lot cheaper than spending years treading water.
Yes.
Having so many headaches and not knowing how to fix things.
Yes.
My partner and I just had a conversation about consultants today. He is looking to bring in yet another consultant. We have a few. And I said, well, for this consultant, what 3 problems do you want him to help us solve? And this guy is incredibly experienced. He comes from within our industry.
Mhm.
He sold a company for $40 million. We're nowhere near that valuation as at the time of this recording in 2023. He had a tremendous size team. We know his team. They send us some of their referral business, and they're really good. And he sold that business no more than 24 months ago, give or take.
Mm.
And he now does some consulting. He is well off, but he's like, I'm not ready to retire. He's in his 50s. So he's like, I charge $500 an hour for consulting. And I'm like, what problems would he help us solve? And my partner like outlined this problem, and this problem. I'm like, man, if he could help us solve just this one problem that
Mhm.
we've been trying to solve for 3 years now,
Mhm.
I would be happy to pay him for 10 hours, 20 hours,
Mhm.
100 hours, 500 hours,
Mhm.
1,000 hours, because that would still be a lot cheaper than trying to solve it for another 3 years.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. I especially love solving the revenue and profitability problems. And I think that when you look at most small law firms, we talked about this before I hit the record button. I had Joshua Lennon from Clio, one of the executives from Clio team, and he said that most lawyers are incredibly inefficient at making money,
Mhm.
doing about 1.7 hours of billable work per day. And that's an astonishingly low number, but that's what the average is, which is insane. Just helping them focus on the right thing and giving up most other things.
Yes.
Because I asked Joshua, like what do they do with the remaining 6 hours or 7 hours per day? He is like, oh, admin stuff,
Mhm.
biz dev, admin stuff, billing,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just insanity, how much time and energy being expended on things that they, attorneys, shouldn't expand on. But I think it all goes back to that not having strong business acumen. And I'm guessing through your consulting services, you definitely teach them some of it.
Yes, they learn by what we're doing because we go in and do the work. So if we say that you need to beef up you need to figure out your statistics, you need to know your numbers. We go in there and we create the reports and we show them and we talk to them and we talk through the process. Just because you're quote busy doesn't mean you need another person. You may just need to have the people that you are paying work. So that is, and if they're not willing to work, and quite frankly, many of the younger associates are really willing to take less money, are willing to say, okay, I understand, if I want to make this salary, I'm going to work 1,800 hours. If I only want to work 1,000 hours, this is going to be my salary. It's very easy to say it, but they don't talk about it, right? So that's one thing. It's really talking them through. Your widget is an hour, whether you're flat fee or not, because we always figure out how many hours it's going to take and then make a flat fee. So really understanding their widget and what the cost of that widget is, and what their realization rate, what their operating ratio, those kinds of things they don't really know. But when we start talking to them and we start showing them, then that absolutely trains them on what to be looking for in the future, what reports to be set up and they should be looking at each month, and those kinds of things. A lot of it is things they don't need to know. They don't need to know how to choose software. They need somebody that is using legal software, not their neighbor or the person down the street, to really understand software and really understand what they need for their practice, and then search for them and their practice. There isn't a one size fits all. Clio is a great product, but Clio is definitely not the one size fits all. So
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
those kinds of things. So there's a difference, about what you train them to do and leave them with, and what you do for them and then leave them in a better place.
Yeah. What really caught my attention, like in the last sentences that you said is that they do not need to know how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really easy concept to grasp and an incredibly hard concept to implement
Mm-hmm.
for firm owners.
Mm-hmm.
They're very small. And when I say very small, like under 10 attorneys should be considered to be a very small
Mm-hmm.
law firm. And what I see consistently with those small law firm owners, they wear 5,
Mm-hmm.
6, 7, 8 different hats.
Mm-hmm.
They're the lawyer and the CEO
Mm-hmm.
and the chief marketing officer
Mm-hmm.
and the HR director
Mm-hmm.
and the financial director, because they look at the statements and try to create their own. And often enough, they're the billing person also, who is nagging other attorneys to make sure that they bill on time. And so much stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is creating a major friction point for growth of any law firm. It's
Yes.
you, the owner, or more often the owners, because many a times in a 10 or even 8 or even 6-person law firm, there are
Mm-hmm.
multiple owners. And because none of them have business background,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of friction because they're focused on all their own things.
Right. And they don't have somebody they trust. That's a big thing. They don't want to, well, I can't have them do that because I really, I don't want them to see this, or I don't really, for instance, recruiting. So we aren't a recruiting agency, but we recruit for our clients when we're doing other things for them. So we're doing a little bit of recruiting for a firm, and 2 people from the firm, myself, and then a gentleman on my team who does the kind of initial screening, put together the candidates. We interviewed 3 of them. And then I said to him, to the managing partner, do you want to meet them? Do you want to do a Zoom with them? And he goes, well, if that's what you think I should do. I said, you don't have to. It's just an idiot check. You get on the call and you see if this person is a reasonable person and whether you like them or not. And if you're comfortable with us making that decision, you don't have to meet them. You don't have to spend your time doing that. He goes, I don't want to do it. And I said, okay, you don't have to do it. But he trusts us. He trusts me. So when you don't have people that you trust, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do that. And that's why having somebody like my team come in who you immediately trust, we talk the language. I operate my business just like a law firm. I use Clio. I use Net Documents. I'm exactly like a law firm. And it's very obvious that we know what we're doing. They automatically trust us, where they don't necessarily trust people in their office. And most of us in legal management have come up through the ranks. Most of us started out as a secretary or an office clerk or something.
Why do you think they don't trust their own employees?
Because they're taught to not trust. They're trained to not trust. They're trained to litigate everything.
That's such a difficult life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're trained to see the other side and argue about it.
I never thought about it that way, because my methodology, my approach, my thinking about this, and I've been an employer for 23 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Started my first business back in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Will always find the right people, get them trained up if they need to be trained up, and do your best to get out of their way
Mm-hmm.
as fast as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is that through training, attorneys think about things the exact opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Always verify what they're doing, which makes it
Mm-hmm.
almost impossible to grow the business if you're always verifying and looking over someone else's shoulders, because there are so many someone else's whose shoulders you need to look over.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. It's hard for this, and many solos are solos because they choose to be solos. They want to know everything. They want to be in control of everything, and that's fine. That's fine. But if you're going to have a life and have an active practice, you need to figure out what you can delegate and then delegate it. And if you need to, figure it out what you're what you like to do. Some of them like to do IT, so they're going to do the IT whether, I tell them don't spend your time or not. Some of them like the finance, so they're going to do their own billing and reconciling, and it doesn't matter who tells them what, they're going to do that. But there are always things that can make them more efficient, even if it's just utilizing their technology properly. Most of the time, firms have the right technology, they just are not using it because they get trained on how to enter time and bill, but not about how to manage their cases with the software.
That's interesting. Do you think that solos who choose to be solos are actually in control, or their business is actually controlling them?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think that most business owners, our businesses kind of control us in some sense.
Yeah, I bought equity in this company, in Grow Law Firm, 5.5 years ago. And I am rapidly working. This is the first year when I'm rapidly working toward removing myself out of 80% of responsibilities that they have, so that I can focus on very few things where I have unique abilities, and everything else can be done by somebody else. And I have hired people who I deeply trust, and I know very well that they're going to do the job 80 to 90% as well as I would. I'm perfectly fine with it. Also, if they love me and I think they love me, they're going to be here 3 years from now, and by then they're going to do the job better than I ever did. So it's okay. They're going to slowly get there.
And you probably have manuals and instructions and examples, and law firms don't traditionally have an operating manual. And if they have an operating manual, it's very, very old. It's not being kept up to date. So it's difficult. That's the other piece is, did you write up your billing instructions so that the person that's doing your billing at the end of the month knows what you want and how you do it? So when we leave, if we're helping them set up their billing process, they're going to have it written down so that they can hand it to somebody and it's consistently correct. So those are the things that they don't spend the time and the money on that can get them in a problem when they don't have somebody that they trust to do it the way that that person wants to do it, because everybody's going to do it different unless there's an instruction.
Yeah, we've actually, in the last year or so, 2 years, 3 years, we have simplified procedure manual development, and every repeatable process we now just document using video. So we use Vimeo extension and our Google Chrome. So every process that you do more than once, we want you to document it. And the way that we document it, you share your screen and you record a video.
That's right.
The way that I do billing is I enter into the system.
Yep.
And there's always that caveat that over years, the system may change the way that it looks, or you may replace the system. And if somebody goes into the training manual and they don't see a system that they're looking at on their other screen, they can tell you, hey, this doesn't match up. And then you go and you record a new video. And usually those manuals are up to 5 minutes long. It's very rare that you have a 20-minute recording. Because most things we do, they're mechanical, just to get in, do this, enter, submit, done.
Yes.
So you teach your clients all of those things, whatever applies to their business. Do you follow up with them a year after they have worked with you, or you have worked with them rather, and just ask them about the outcomes that they experience in their lives? You should.
I know. I should do a lot of things in life, but yes, I in some instances I do, and in some instances it doesn't happen. It doesn't depend on anything. It's just one of the things that I need to do better.
Do you have an executive assistant?
I do. She's fabulous. Yes.
Maybe outsource reminder of the task. On that 1 year anniversary or 6 months anniversary, you follow up with this person and then that person, and just see on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of an improvement have you seen? It's a 10, or it's an 8, or it's a 6. Why is it a 6? What would have made it a 10 or an 8 or a 9? So we like asking those questions because that's although it's a flawed quantitative way of looking at things, it still is a pretty good measure when you ask a client, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our performance over the last 30 days? And we ask our clients that question every single month in the monthly performance review toward the end of the meeting. We're like, how would you rate our performance? And they're like, it's been great. It's a 10. Amazing. See you in a month. Or 6. Oh, what would have made it a 9?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like, well, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, anytime any one of our account managers gets a score or rating below 8, there's an alarm that goes off in the management's office, and they're like, oh, we got to look at this. There's a problem. So it creates it. Anyway,
We do that at the end. We do that at the end of an assignment. We kind of say thank you, and then here's our little after support. But it's the year later that I haven't integrated yet.
Yeah, that could be very interesting for the business, and it also might create some additional opportunities to serve the existing
Absolutely.
clients,
Mm-hmm.
and also give you that closed feedback loop system where you just like, how well it's working out. Because I am always curious, because of the nature of what we do for our clients, is like, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? What's the
Yes.
ROI? What's the ROI? But
Yes.
ROI is just one of the measures, right? Quality of life is another one. I always think about better business equals better life. It's not always exactly that way, but more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
If you go from super frustrated, super stressed out, super overworked, working 70 hours a week, making, I'm just going to throw a number out there, 200,000, while your buddy from law school, you graduated same year, makes so much money, they have a second and a third home and taking fancy vacations, and they're not doing 70 hours a week. They're not 10 times smarter than you are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not 10 times more productive, but they do so much better. Like, why? Right.
Yeah.
So like, that's quality of life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking at those things, and I'm just thinking like, how do we rate? How do we rank on this? And how do we improve this? How do we improve that quality of life through improving business outcomes? And that's exactly what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be priceless.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. How do people connect with you?
I have a website and I have an email. It's dlccs.com is my website. And my email is Diane at dlccs.com. I almost forgot.
What does that stand for? DLCCS. I was going to ask you about it. I know it's DLC Consulting Services, LLC.
That's what it stands for, DLC Consulting Services.
But what does DLC stand for?
Oh, Diane Louise Camacho. Yeah, I wasn't very creative.
No. Good enough. I don't think anybody, well, listen, the least creative people when it comes to naming their companies are lawyers. I'm always like who else names their business after themselves in any other profession? Like, really?
It's starting to happen. It's starting to happen that they're using different names because they're starting to think about the succession planning that they didn't think about before.
But it's not just about succession planning. So let me give you an example. So imagine 2 attorneys graduate from law school on the same day. They go in the same practice area. They both do family law. Both of them are in Chicago, where I am. One names her law firm divorcelawyer.chicago.com as divorce lawyer LLC, and the other one is Berson and Camacho. Over time, which one do you think is going to do financially better if everything else, every other factor is held constant?
Well, the one that SEO works.
Right, because
find them.
Well, it's just like if you are a prospective client for a divorce attorney and you look at these 2 names, which one you're going to gravitate toward? The one that says divorce lawyer, because you understand exactly what it is that they do. So I've seen this time and time and again, where a handful of younger lawyers would not follow the herd and would actually name their law firm after what it does. And they do so much better just because it points their attention in the right direction. We're divorce lawyers. We're estate planning lawyers. We're criminal defense lawyers. We're not naming the firm after our name. We're naming it after what people look for. And then we're going to align all of our branding, all of our advertising, all of our marketing with this, so we get more business. So we do not create a name. We do not create a brand that, first of all, struggles with succession planning, but more importantly, it's not just about succession. You're not going to get as much business. So deviated there. Diane, it's been
That's
such a
okay.
pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That's it. That's a wrap.
Okay.
See, it's super conversational.
Okay.
Easy peasy.
Hopefully there was some value in there.
For sure. I always only bring on, and my team only looks for people who know what they're doing in this field, where the service that they provide, if you're a service provider into the field, can actually deliver astronomical value to the people who are watching and listening to this podcast. The way I think about consultants who know what they're doing is that the ROI on a good consultant is always at least 10x.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have enough years in my life to learn everything that I need to know. That's why this is another thing that my partner brought up today. We were talking about, as I mentioned, like bringing on another consultant. And he's like, do you know LeBron James? I'm not a big fan of that person, but like, I don't know him. But one thing that is very admirable is about like how successful he is and how much charitable work he does. He's like, he has 28 coaches for different aspects of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Why? He ain't got time to learn all 28 things.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough time.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have those 28 aspects work well in your life today, well, you hire 28 people who are proven experts in those individual things, and they help you work on those things. Some of those things are actually like sports related because he's an athlete, nutrition related, and some of those things are related to financial planning and charitable work. And I read about him that he's really big on rest. The guy sleeps 12 hours a day.
10 to 12? Wow, I love that. I have to sleep 8. I don't do well when I haven't slept. But
I wish
wow.
I could do that. Yeah, I do 6, and even that could be challenging for me. But it's just like yeah, he's really focused on rest. So he had or has a rest coach because that impacts his performance.
Sure.
It's funny, I read about this, that an average NBA player lasts 40,000 minutes, play minutes.
40,000 play minutes.
40,000, yeah. LeBron James is now over 50,000 play minutes. Your body wears out when you play at that level, like quickly, right? So, but he's over 50,000 and he's not stopping. He's not slowing down,
Yeah.
right? So when he was like interviewed somewhere, it's like, what do you attribute that to? And he's like, I do plenty of rest. Very scientific approach. So there's
Good
that.
for him.
Good for him. Plus all the
Good
noise.
for him. So now when does this come out?
2-3 weeks. Yeah.
And then you send it to me and say, okay, it's live, so then I can promote it, and then all of that kind of thing.
I'm going to send you a lot of things. It's going to be the video recording, the audio recording. There will be some pictures with your images and quotes that the team is going to grab out of this conversation.
Okay.
A lot of good things that you could post wherever you like, make you look good, make us look good. It's great. It's very high quality. So
Perfect. Thank you. And can you take 2 minutes and tell me what you do?
Yeah. I'm not good at promoting myself. It's stupid.
Well, that's part of my issue as well. So go ahead.
So I operate a now 15-year-old marketing company based out of Chicago. Our primary, as the brand name suggests, our primary bread and butters will work with small law firms. When I say small law firms, most of our clients are between 2 and 10 attorneys.
Okay.
What we help them is get a substantial ROI on marketing. So a typical client, when they bring us aboard, we'll see an ROI of 400 to 700% in year 1. Think about it this way. If they're currently doing $1 million in revenue, and they're looking to increase it to $1.6 million in revenue, assuming that their business systems will not break if they increase revenue by 60%, we can get that $60,000 or $600,000 in additional revenue for $150,000 or less. So we're going to deploy their marketing and advertising dollars to bring in that ROI. And the way that we do it, we only do 3 things. Under the umbrella of search marketing, meaning Google and Bing, we do high performance websites, search engine optimization, and advertising management, advertising campaign management. We've been in this business for over 15 years. We have done so many different things. And over the years, we're like, let's just do what we're really great at. It turned out that we're really great at these 3 things, and that's all that we do. Nothing else. Some of our clients ask us to do like social media advertising. and we'll usually like outsource it to somebody who we know who's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I get probably 80% of my work from Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when people need a service provider, we don't go to TikTok, we don't go to Facebook, we don't go to Instagram, and we probably do not go to LinkedIn. Google is the source when we need someone to help us, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, a consultant, a marketing company. It's Google. It's been like that for years, and it will probably continue to be such. So for many years to come. And I don't think AI is going to change it very much. Have you started using ChatGPT?
I saw a demo of it yesterday with somebody, doing a blog post. And I don't know. It is definitely going to change things. But it's garbage in, garbage out. If there's a bunch of garbage about that topic, then it's garbage. So I'm working with attorneys, right? So I'm going, well, I'm looking at the other side.
Yeah.
No, I don't want my employees using it, and I don't want
Yeah.
bad information, but it's going to be interesting.
It's interesting that you brought up the subject of blog posts specifically,
Mm-hmm.
for the reason that when you write a blog post, what's the main reason people write blogs? It's because people read blogs. But still, like, what's the point? Well, the point is that you want your website to be found when they're looking for that information.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with AI writing your blog post is that AI doesn't think about who this blog post is going to compete against. Every single subject out there has been already written about dozens or hundreds or thousands of times. So when you create a blog post, you have to create it within the context of the following. What keywords do I want this blog post to rank for?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it going to outrank other blog posts? Well, now you have to think about the topic, the keywords, the length, the competing blog posts, third-party websites that are going to refer back to your blog post, other blog posts and service pages on your website that are going to connect with that blog post, and all that has to be part of your overall content strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can certainly ask ChatGPT or any other AI to write a blog post on that topic. The problem is it will be an utter failure as far as achieving the objective, which is to get your website to rank, because it's not about writing it. It's about creating the whole system. Let's just think about this, like, can a 3D printer soon print an organ? Yes, soon it will, for sure. They're already growing organs in the lab. Does that mean that you can easily just take an organ and just implant it in the body and you're good to go?
Yeah.
No,
Not so much. Yeah.
not so much. You will die.
Yeah.
If you attempt to do that, you need to do testing prior to that. You need to take the right drugs. You need to have the right organ. And it's just like the checklist is long.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not that simple.
Yes.
I think AI will probably sooner fly airplanes than it will write blog posts that will actually rank very, very, very well. And I've seen videos on YouTube where they're like, oh, it can do this, 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 and that. And I'm like, yes, but can it achieve the objective? And it's like, no. There are also like coders, or what used to be called programmers, developers. They're like, can it write code? Yes, it can. Will it work within the system? No, it will not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I play around with AI a bit, and I ask it to produce different types of things for me. Like yesterday, I was like, write me a 5-step email sequence. Just want to see, like, because I want to stay on top of this thing to see how it evolves. It wrote something incredibly generic, so I kept on improving the inputs. Like, I want this, make it this, make it. At the end, my instructions were 16 lines long, and the deliverable that ChatGPT produced required 2.5 hours of editing. So, was it still faster than writing from scratch? It was.
Oh, it was?
It still was.
Oh, okay.
Did it require a lot of human output and then post-production editing? It did. So I don't know. Technologies will evolve fast, but for the near future,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
I think we're all
Yeah.
secure with our jobs and businesses.
I think so. I think
What a
so.
pleasure it was, Dan. It was great to
Nice
meet
to
you.
speak with you.
I'll
Thank
send
you
an
so
email in
much.
a couple of weeks once this thing is done.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.